It's decision day for two blue chip prospects. Will the Tigers get good news? We're talking about it. Locked on LSU. Let's go.
You are Locked On LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thank you for making us your first listen every single day. We are free, available wherever you get great podcasts, and of course, available on YouTube as well. So please subscribe on your favorite podcast app, rate us, leave a review. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to be notified when we go live with a video. And of course, let a friend know if they love the Tigers. We got you here every single day. So it's decision day for two big-time prospects. Derek Meadows, a wide receiver out of Las Vegas, and Jaboree Antoine, a cornerback out of New Iberia at Westgate. We're going to talk about both of them, kind of give you a thumbnail before those decisions come and what it means big picture for the class. I want to be clear as we start, though. There are people who do a magnificent job covering recruiting. There are so many great services and outlets and talented people who I trust implicitly, and that's not the intention of what I am or what this channel is. I'm not a recruiting service and don't purport to be. I'm not the guy that's out there at high school games on Friday nights or showcases, and I'm not trying to give you, insight firsthand from what I've seen. But what I can do, though, is cultivate a lot of sources in and around the LSU program and recruiting circles and try to give you the best information that I have. And I want to talk about how all of these recruiting decisions compare to and compile and build LSU's class, because I've said this often over the many, many years that I've done this job. And it's that recruiting is a necessary evil. You may not like it. You may not love it. You may not like the hat game, putting hats on a table, flipping commitments, all that sort of stuff. And I don't really care if you do or don't. It doesn't matter if you do or don't, or if I do or don't. The undeniable truth that you and I both know is recruiting is and remains the lifeblood of a football program. You have got to recruit at a high level. There is just no secret. I mean, look at the current 2025 industry rankings at the top. Bama, Ohio State, LSU, Georgia, Oregon, A&M, Notre Dame, Clemson, Florida State, Oklahoma, Miami, Michigan, Tennessee, Texas. You get it? You see the trend there? The best programs recruit the best. You want to be at the top? You got to recruit. So for Brian Kelly, Saturday is a really big day with two prospects set to make their announcements. Derek Meadows, a wide receiver out of Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. He is a highly regarded guy. Rated by 24/7 Sports as a 5-star, the number 32 overall prospect in the country. And Jaboree Antoine is a cornerback out of Westgate, New Iberia, a 4-star in the composite. He's the number 87 overall prospect. ESPN rates him as high as number 54 in the country. So I want to let you know exactly what we know about those two guys at this point. So we'll get to that here in just a quick second. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Okay, so let's talk about Derek Meadows first. So Derek Meadows is a 6'6", 205-pound receiver out of Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. Of course, Jeremiah Hughes, the cornerback LSU signed last year, was out of Bishop Gorman. Hughes lasted just one season at Baton Rouge at LSU, hit the transfer portal, and is now out. But Meadows is a little bit of a different beast. Now, he's got offers from everybody. Notre Dame, Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, of course, LSU. Tennessee, Oregon, Texas A&M, Auburn, Washington, South Carolina, you get the point. They've all offered him. Meadows is 6'6". He is a 200-pounder, and he is an incredibly impressive athlete. 6'6", 205 to be exact. This was thought to be a Notre Dame lean for much of his recruitment. And here in the last several weeks, though, LSU is catapulted to the top. If you look at the RPM, the recruiting prediction machine from On3, and that's not a crystal ball per se, but it's a combination of a lot of things. Where he's from, where he's taken the most visits, some predictions, that sort of thing, to meld together a number. And Notre Dame has seen its number drop dramatically to 53%, while LSU's has jumped to 38%. Well, in 247 and 24/7, they have their crystal balls, right? And so how many of their analysts put in predictions? And he's still crystal balled to Notre Dame. But when you look at a lot of the industry experts and the commentary over the last couple of weeks, it certainly feels like LSU is in the lead here. In fact, Steve Wiltfong from On3 said as much on Twitter. His quote was, "LSU is going to be a tough team to beat on Derek Meadows." And when you look at LSU's recruiting class for 2025 already, they've taken a swing at some really big prospects. We know the number one receiver in the country, DeCorian Moore, has already decommitted from LSU, and he's picked Oregon twice. People thought he would be at Texas. Instead, he picked LSU, then Oregon. We'll still see how that goes between now and signing day. Jamie French, another five-star wide receiver. LSU has taken its swing there. And so far, we're waiting to see what Jamie French's decision will be. And it could very well, I suppose, be LSU. But as of right now, when you look at LSU's receiver class, Teron Francis is the only receiver LSU has committed. Francis is a four-star out of Edna Carr in New Orleans, 6'1", 196. He's the number 6 player in the state of Louisiana. But let's just be very clear about where LSU stands at receiver. Kyron Lacey, Chris Hilton, C.J. Daniels, Xavion Thomas, your top, what is projected to be your top 4 guys in 2024, all likely to be gone. We'll see what happens with Aaron Anderson after this year as well. And you're always likely to have some form of attrition. Point being, you're loaded at receiver now, even with the losses of Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. But when you look to 2025, LSU is going to have to fortify that room with numbers. You could always do it in the portal, but man, you would love to be able to do it, as Brian Kelly has said often, by recruiting through the high school rankings, building your roster through the high school rankings, and supplementing through the portal. It'd be great if you could land 4 or 5 receivers, elite level receivers in this class, and maybe supplement with 1 or 2 transfer guys. If you land Derek Meadows, the other reality is you don't have any receiver on your roster right now that's 6'6". I mean, yes, you went out and you got Trey'Dez Green, who's a sort of that hybrid tight end entering his freshman season. He's more of a pass catcher than a blocker, so he fits that mold. But whether it's a flex tight end or something like that, he's not a true wide receiver. You potentially will see how his body grows as he moves along. But someone like Derek Meadows, you have a couple of tight ends that look like that, right? But you don't have anybody right now at the receiver position that looks like that. So Derek Meadows, again, ranked as high as a 5-star by 24/7 and the composite, the number 41 overall prospect in the country. LSU thought to be in the lead there, but we'll find out on Saturday. The other prospect is, man, is he interesting. Jaboree Antoine, one of the top players in the state of Louisiana for 2025. We'll talk about him here in just a quick second, what his decision may be. Of course, our episode also is brought to you by FanDuel. And y'all, I love sports just like you do. I love sports so much, you really never want them to stop. But, the playoffs wind down. The Stanley Cup finals are over. The NBA finals are done. And the sports just aren't sporting like we want them to. But FanDuel lets us keep the sports going whenever we want. And all we have to do is open the app, dream up bets anytime that we're in the mood. And this summer, all summer long, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone all summer long. I'm looking at the app literally right now, the home run bonus blast. You can check that out. We can get a bonus bet for every home run. Learn more about it on the app. There's a profit boost for golf right now on the Open Championship. Check that out. A 50% profit boost on baseball. The point is, if you love to sports bet, get to FanDuel and take advantage of those boosts every single day. If they're offering them to you, take advantage of them. So get to FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com. FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Okay, so Jaboree Antoine is the other elite prospect set to make his decision and his announcement known on Saturday. So Antoine from Westgate in New Iberia, 6'1", 175-pounder. In the On3 composite, he's the number 87 overall prospect, the number 9 cornerback in the country, the number 2 prospect in the state of Louisiana. Now, when Corey Raymond was hired, Jaboree Antoine committed to LSU. And just about a month ago, he decommitted from the Tigers and reopened his recruitment. Now, maybe it was a situation where wanted to feel more love or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's a situation where it's NIL or he just wants to go out of state. But as it comes down to it, whenever Jaboree Antoine decommitted, LSU ramped up their efforts. They never stopped recruiting him. And remember, Corey Raymond is from New Iberia, like Jaboree Antoine. So there's a strong tie there and a strong connection. The industry experts seem to believe at this point that Antoine is going to end up at Miami. As a matter of fact, the On3 RPM gives Miami a 63.9%, so roughly a 64% chance of landing Jaboree Antoine, with LSU just behind at 33%. So, look, earlier this week when we were talking about DJ Pickett, the industry thought that DJ Pickett was going to Oregon. And LSU, with a healthy NIL offer, and obviously with Corey Raymond, was able to make up that gap. Maybe they can do the same, especially with DJ Pickett now in the boat at LSU. Maybe Pickett becoming a recruiter for LSU can help sway Antoine. It is interesting, though, because while Frank Wilson and Corey Raymond are leading the charge on Jaboree Antoine for LSU, there's a couple of really familiar names recruiting Antoine to Miami. So former LSU defensive back Chevis Jackson, who, of course, played in the NFL, who's now the defensive backs coach at Miami. He's been the primary recruiter. And then Lance Guidry, a guy with tremendous experience in Louisiana from McNeese and Tulane, who's the defensive coordinator at Miami. Lance Guidry is the secondary recruiter. So 2 guys with Louisiana ties are the ones that are in on Antoine for Miami. So we'll see ultimately what direction that Jaboree Antoine chooses to go. Now, here's what's interesting as we look at LSU's secondary, in particular at the cornerback position. Now, you got DJ Pickett committed, all right? He's the number 1 corner in the country, the number 6 overall prospect in the country. After that, nobody else. That's it at cornerback. So Jace Thomas, the safety out of Destrehan, could potentially play cornerback. We'll see. Interesting prospect. Who's played multiple positions, but they have, is being recruited or formally listed as a safety, could play corner. But ultimately, when you look at that cornerback room for LSU, they were atrocious a year ago. There's no other way to say it. But the only player for certain you're going to lose after 2025 is Zy Alexander. Everybody else could come back. Jair Brown, J.K. Johnson, Ashton Stamps, Javen Toviano, your young guys like P.J. Woodland. You could literally return everybody else at corner for 2025. Now, that's unlikely because what we've seen in this culture, this, is guys don't play, they leave. So you're going to see attrition. And maybe the more concerning part is, of all the names I just mentioned, none of those guys are blue chip guys. None of those guys are guys that look like Derek Stingley or Patrick Peterson or Morris Claiborne or Tre'Davious White, the guys that that were highly regarded guys that became first-round draft picks and great pros. So, Antoine is currently the highest rated uncommitted prospect, and he's just down the road in New Iberia, which is Corey Raymond's hometown. If you miss on Jaboree Antoine, that's going to feel like a really, really significant and sizable miss. But the onus will be on LSU and Corey Raymond to go out regardless of what happens, because whether you get Jaboree Antoine or not, you're not done at cornerback. So you got to go scour the country and find the best available talent. Look, Tigers had a couple of guys committed early in last year's class, and Andre Evans, and a couple and Kai Bates, and ultimately they decided, no, we're going to settle on some guys more locally. PJ Woodland being one of them out of Mississippi, who ran first team reps in spring. They liked a lot. So we can get married to the star ratings, and listen, I'm as guilty of it as anybody. But really what we're looking for right now is for LSU and Corey Raymond to rebuild that cornerback room with blue chip prospects, and Jaboree Antoine would be a huge part of it. Right now, the two players that are making their commitments on Saturday, Derek Meadows, Jaboree Antoine, a wide receiver, a cornerback. LSU currently has one receiver and one cornerback committed in this class. Not only are these elite level prospects, they're positions of great need for LSU in this 2025 cycle. So we'll see what they can do. It is important to note that as you look at the recruiting rankings, I'll just look at On3, because On3, it takes an average score, average number of commits. So it's a quality over a quantity score. So Alabama currently has the number one class with 23 commits, however. Ohio State has 24 commits. LSU, 17. Georgia, 20. Oregon, 16. A&M, 19. Notre Dame, 21. That's your current order right now. And LSU and Oregon are the ones in that top 10 with the fewest commitments, meaning their quality is outpacing their quantity. The two prospects LSU potentially could add on Saturday would certainly boost that even further. So we'll see whenever we get the decisions from Derek Meadows and Jaboree Antoine. We'll have plenty to talk about afterwards. Hey, thanks so much for being here with us on Locked On LSU. Of course, if you're on a podcast app, please subscribe. Rate us, leave a review. YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Please hit the bell to be notified whenever we post a video, and let a friend know if they love the Tigers. We got you here every single day for Locked On LSU, your team every day.